What a wild Grand Prix Las Vegas turned out to be. Whether it was the track falling apart, marshals running for their lives, or Lewis Hamilton setting more unwanted records with Ferrari, there was so much to take in. The biggest story of all, though, broke when the news that the McLaren drivers were under investigation for excessive plank wear by the FIA. As the entire F1 fanbase refreshed their social media feeds, waiting for news on the outcome, Aston Martin threw the curveball to beat all curveballs by sacking CEO Andy Cowell while the entire world was watching. Today, I'll check out why Aston Martin sacked Andy Cowell, why Christian Horner has been touted as a favourite to replace him, and why that'll probably never happen. So don't go anywhere. With Stroll getting torpedoed in Turn 1 by Gabriel Bortoleto and Fernando Alonso missing out on a points finish despite qualifying 7th and 2 cars ahead of him being disqualified, it was a pretty standard race for Aston Martin. The team have really struggled under the ground effect regulations despite an impressive showing in early 2023 and incredible investment in the team by owner Lawrence Stroll. With a brand new factory and wind tunnel, their facilities are the envy of the grid. He hasn't shied away from spending big to hire the best either, even giving up a percentage of his team to hire F1's most famous engineer, Adrian Newey. The results on track have not backed up what Stroll has been doing though. The team sits 8th in the Constructors' Championship, just a point behind Haas, but none of that matters. Stroll isn't interested in topping the midfield. Obviously, every team in F1 wants to win, but some are more serious about it than others. Aston Martin are very serious about winning, but haven't come close in the last few years. These regulations are essentially over for Aston Martin now though. They're just coasting through the remaining races this season, while everyone at their Silverstone base has all their attention on 2026's car. That is why another poor performance, being followed up by the sacking of their CEO, came as such a shock on Sunday. The BBC reported first that Andy Cowell is on the verge of losing his job after just over a year in the role. They reported that multiple sources had told them that his sacking was guaranteed once the details were worked out after disagreements between Cowell and the team's new managing technical partner Adrian Newey. Whether he'll be cut loose from Aston Martin completely or just move to another role isn't confirmed, but he is set to be forced out of his current role. An Aston Martin spokesperson said, "The team will not be engaging in rumour or speculation. The focus is on maximising performance in the remaining races and preparing for 2026. And that definitely isn't a denial of Cowell's imminent departure. Reportedly, the problems for Cowell began with a disagreement between him and Newey over who was actually in charge of the team. Cowell, as CEO, is supposed to oversee the team, but Newey's status, both in terms of his record and as a shareholder and the team's biggest earner, is inevitably in a far more powerful position. His £30 million a year contract is astronomical by F1 engineer standards. Despite the scale of investment required to bring Newey to the team, Lawrence Stroll felt it was more than worthwhile when the deal was made a year ago. "Adrian is a bargain," he said. "I've never been more certain. He is a shareholder, a partner, the best partner to have in a company, and we intend to be around for a very long time together, so it's relatively inexpensive for everything Adrian brings to the partnership." There is nothing to suggest that that sentiment has changed. If Newey isn't happy with something in the team, Stroll will listen, and as the eventual decision maker, if Newey wants the CEO gone, Stroll will make it happen. This is the second massive change at Aston Martin in less than a month. At the start of November, Aston Martin removed at least 7 staff from their Formula 1 design department as part of a restructure before the 2026 season. Among those to leave the F1 team, the biggest name was Eric Blandin, who was recruited from Mercedes as Deputy Technical Director in 2022, but since the start of 2025 has been serving as Aerodynamics Director. With Cowell's exit added into this, it has to be assumed that everything is coming from Newey, who isn't happy with how things are shaping up for next season. With so much change so late in the development cycle of the new car, this should raise concerns about how the team will perform next season. Any team principal coming in at this point is going to be essentially powerless to influence next season's car. The first job for them will be assessing the team, finding any weak links, and making further changes by either changing processes, moving staff, or headhunting new hires. That process takes time, and any returns on that work won't be visible until the end of the 2026 season, or even 2027. But who could be the next in line for one of Formula One's toughest jobs? Is Christian Horner actually top of the list of candidates? Well, before I talk about that, if you're enjoying the video and want to catch more news and analysis on Formula 1, then make sure to press the like button and subscribe to F1 Reverse. Thanks a lot. It is impossible to talk about a new Aston Martin boss without considering Christian Horner. In terms of available personnel, there is no one more qualified than the ex-Red Bull boss. Horner was sacked as Red Bull boss in July after 20 years in the role, winning 8 drivers' titles and 6 constructors' crowns in that time. He then officially left in September after agreeing to a settlement believed to be between $70 and $100 million, and it's well known he's been plotting his return ever since. That included Horner contacting several teams on the current grid, such as Haas, while there was also talk of him joining Ferrari or purchasing a stake in Alpine. So far, none of that has come to fruition. Horner remains sat on the sidelines. The problem is likely to be the amount of control he wants. Horner wants the same level of control that Toto Wolff has over the Mercedes F1 team. He wants to be the uncontested top dog of his team. Now, Horner is reportedly pushing hard for a leadership role at Aston Martin, along with a shareholding in the team. However, while Horner may want the job, the presence of Adrian Newey may prevent that from happening. Cowell's sacking shows that Newey holds a large amount of power within Aston Martin, something Horner wouldn't be happy about if he were to get the job. It is their previous relationship that is the real problem, though. Newey left Red Bull specifically because he'd had fallen out with Horner as a consequence of the allegations of sexual harassment and coercive controlling behavior made against Horner by a female employee. Horner was cleared of the charges by 2 separate internal investigations, but the allegations led to major internal ruptures within Red Bull, who also suffered a decline in performance. With no sign of an improvement in the internal tensions or performance, Red Bull removed Horner after the British Grand Prix. At the time of his departure, Newey told colleagues he did not want to be in the same room as Horner. It's going to be tough to be a competitive F1 team when your CEO and managing technical partner can't be in the same room as each other. Supposedly, since then, their relationship has improved, and in the summer they attended an Oasis concert together. Has it improved to the point that Newey would be happy working with Horner again, though? Well, that's the real question. Obviously, this isn't the Newey team. At the end of the day, Lawrence Stroll has built Aston Martin up to compete for championships, ideally with his son driving the car. If he thinks that Horner will provide the best chance of that, then he might just tell Adrian to suck it up and learn to work with him. There are rumours that Stroll has approached some other people, though. Former McLaren team principal Andreas Seidel is one person being talked to, as is the current head of the Audi F1 project, Mattia Binotto, and Aston Martin's former CEO, Martin Whitmarsh. Whitmarsh, who was replaced by Cowell last year, was offered his old job back but is said to have refused. Whitmarsh told the BBC Sport, "I decided to leave Aston Martin in 2023, and whilst Lawrence has been very generous, I no longer wanted a role in the team." This is a pivotal moment for Aston Martin. The constant chopping and changing of senior staff is not good for their competitive prospects. Whether it is Horner or someone else who comes in, they have to be the last team principal the team hires for at least a few years. They need time to influence the team and establish a stable project that can actually grow and improve. Who do you think will be the next head of the Aston Martin F1 team? Is Christian Horner really on his way back to Formula 1? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and until next time, drive safe and bye for now.